Well, welcome everyone. Happy you're able to come here and join us today. The purpose of what we're looking to do is try to solve one big mega problem in your business. And one of the biggest problems that we hear from business owners is, I could double my business if I could just find really great help. And oftentimes the team that gets you here is not the team that's going to get you there. And understanding how to attract people into your business and build a pipeline of team members to be able to build and scale an unstoppable team is one of the biggest bottlenecks for a lot of business owners. So the content that we're going to be diving into is literally called the people engine, how to build and scale an unstoppable team. So we'll kind of start off just by means of quick introduction. Again, my name is Brandon. I've been in home services my whole life. Literally owner operator window cleaner, just like my dad. He did that for 33 years. My dad had a bus factor of one. And what I mean by that is a bus score is how many people in your business need to get hit by a bus before your business ceases to exist. And for my dad, that number was one. Something happened to him, game over, business over. What's that number for you? Comment down below. It could be your spouse. It could be a very critical key member on your team. It could be yourself. Maybe hopefully that number's higher. For me, that number was also one for a lot of my entrepreneurial journey. I also followed in the same similar kind of footsteps of owner operator model, DIY death trap. It's easier to do it myself rather than trying to teach someone else how to do it. But over time, I got some really good mentors, amazing coaches, worked with rock stars that helped me level up my game, just like you guys work here with Ryan, and was able to scale my business and scaled my cleaning company from 0 to 70 employees. I feel like I've made every single mistake along the way. And in 2021, so I had a good exit with this one. 2021 started a brand new home service business in garage floor coatings, an industry I didn't have much experience in, but this one was also different in the sense that I decided instead of me working in the field like I had before, I gave myself the challenge of not doing a job in the field from day one, never doing any of the work in the field, never doing any sales myself personally. In fact, never even answering a phone call from day one, just focusing on hiring people, putting in marketing systems, putting in sales training systems, and building this as if I had no arms and no legs. And something kind of unexpected, even for me, happened. We went from 0 to 100 grand a month in 4 months. We hit 7 figures our first year. And then fast forward about 3.5, 4 years later, we're doing $2 million a month, 39 locations across the country. And it was from this work and kind of the application of what all these mentors and people way the hell smarter than me told me to do, to focus on the people and the training systems and your operations and not get caught up in the day-to-day activity of the business. So just the fact that you're here means you're working on the business, not just in the business. But I got a secret to share. I am still that ADHD kid that went to summer school and could never get focused in class. And I constantly struggle with imposter syndrome. Every day, I feel like I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm trying to get it locked in more, but it's just one of those things where if you're like me, even as you kind of grow, you're constantly hitting that next ceiling of yourself personally, whether that's with the people that you hire, what you need to do. And it's kind of a weird thing that we of entrepreneurs have decided to do one day. Maybe you were a roofer at one point and you decided, hey, you know what? I'm not a roofer anymore. Now I'm a CEO. We just did that, right, Ryan? Like one day we just decided to promote ourselves to CEO of a company. For me, radically underqualified for it. My resume would never fly to be hired as a CEO for any company, but yet I decided I was going to be CEO. And I told my wife, hey, look at me, look at me. I'm the CEO now. And like, this is my wife's face, as I'm telling her that, hey, I'm going to quit my stable job. We're going to scale this thing up, baby. It's going to be okay. Well, there's a couple lessons I want to kind of talk about with this people engine, and it's based around a concept of a flywheel. Now, the flywheel business model has been studied by a lot of entrepreneurs, businesses over the course of time, analysts. And Jeff Bezos was one who really innovated this model. And he actually literally did it in a diner on a napkin. He wrote down his business model for Amazon. This is what it looked like. He basically said, if we focus on the customer experience as a lever, inevitably that's going to lead to more traffic. If we have more traffic on the site, inevitably that's going to lead to more sellers on our platform that will also want to take advantage of that traffic. If we have more sellers, that's going to lead to more selection. And if we have more selection, that's a better customer experience. And the genius of Jeff Bezos was that he said, if I just take these four levers, these four push points, and I push on each one of these four areas, inevitably that's going to cause a ton of growth. And as the company grows, we're going to get secondary benefits. We're going to get lower cost structure. We're going to get lower prices, which in turn is going to lead to better customer experience. So it's this thought of, if I focus here, inevitably that's going to lead to X. And if I focus there, that's inevitably going to lead to Y. And it just keeps pushing forward. And the reason why it's called a flywheel is, for those of you who might be familiar with the flywheel in a car, this big, heavy mass wheel that takes some energy to get it spun. But once it's up to speed, it has so much momentum, so much power, and it's hard to stop it. And it takes very little to maintain it, a little kick here and there. Well, here's how we can apply this to the people side of our business. And these are the four areas that I've kind of applied in a framework that I've focused on with my businesses to be able to really solve the people problem. Number one is captivate. Captivating their attention, attracting the right people in, understanding who it is that we're targeting. Number two, activating them for success. Number three, elevating themselves, both in skill sets as well as their vision, their dreams of what they have for life. And then four, converting them into advocates, which in turn, inevitably, is going to lead to attracting more rock stars and more individuals that have that same kind of drive. So let's talk about each one of these four. And I'll go ahead and pause here, Ryan, if there's anything you want to either chime in or comment on as we kind of go through this.
No, I love what you're bringing to the table, and you said the word inevitable several times, and what I think occurs when you have the right systems in place is things are inevitable, and
Mm-hmm.
without those systems and those pieces in place, it's very much it's hopeful and maybe and more like unprobable.
Yeah.
So I think that that word describes the power of this engine. And we speak about that a lot with sales too. It's like when you have the right selling processes and systems and train people to the competencies that are required, sales is inevitable. And
Yeah.
I love that you're covering this. So great word use of words that we love a lot.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it's interesting. There's only 88 keys on a keyboard, is what I've heard before said, where there's all these principles. These aren't of my own originalities. These are ones that are proven tests of time. So let's talk about captivate for a second. Here's a tough question to ask yourself, but it's a needed question. Why would someone want to work for you? If of all the places that they could work, when they go on Indeed, they go job searching, why would they want to work for you? Selling roofs, selling HVAC, installing jobs, being a painter, being in the blistering sun, whatever that is. Why is it sexy? Why is it a good fit for them? And the quicker that we understand that recruiting and getting good employees is a marketing problem to solve, and these are our internal customers, the quicker we can start dialing in our messaging. If we were to imagine our business as being a product on a shelf, all these different boxes and choices, what is going to cause our box to pop off the shelf and say, damn, I want to work there? That place sounds like the right fit for me. Let me ask you, what's a tougher sell? Convincing another human being to replace their roof after a hailstorm, or convincing another human being to spend more of their waking hours in their day-to-day lives with you in your business, even more time than they may potentially spend at home with their own families, and to do that for years? That is a tough sell. We focus so much on the external customer experience, the external customer messaging,
Right.
the manuals, the flyers, the videos, the testimonials, the ads, the copy, the hooks, the spend. Like we know, okay, we want to get 100 grand worth of sales. We're going to go out and spend 7 to 10 grand in marketing this month. But if we're not drawing those specific parallels to marketing for getting really great people, we're going to fall flat. We have to have a message that resounds and captures the right kind of people. We have to captivate their attention. Really quickly, I want to talk about core values. For Wise Coatings, our core values spell the word base. B stands for buffalo. We charge the storm. We run towards problems even when they're hard to face. We tell the story of buffaloes, how they run towards the storm. They're not cows that run away from the storm when they sense it coming. They're gonna charge towards the pain. We want to look for people that are looking to ascend in their lives, personally, professionally. We want people to have a heart to serve. Serve is not a dirty word for our employees, our candidates, our applicants. And lastly, efficiency. I work with products that cure in 15 minutes. We got to be super efficient. We got to think ahead. We got to plan. We got to look for ways to optimize. And the way that we write our job ads are unconventional. They're different. This is important. If you take nothing away from this session, start changing your job ads. Start thinking about your hooks, your headlines, your first opening paragraph. Start using the word you more than you use the word we in your opening sentences. So our ads say who you are. You're always looking to work up, to level up in your life, personally and professionally. You love running towards problems, thrive in a fast-paced environment. You love serving others. You see that we're putting our core values in there very intentionally. We talk about them on our interviews. And only after we captivate them and get them thinking like, yeah, man, this is me. They are describing me. Then that's where we go into who we are. And we have our sizzle reel, one of the fastest growing floor companies, strong business model. Our ability has someone to come in as a technician, and we have a path to where they could one day own their own location through a very strategic partnership program that we have. And then one of the things here that we have as well is a video that says, check out what your fellow coworkers say about working at Wise Coatings. And Ryan, if you're okay with it, I'd like to just play it real quick. In fact, I may need to get my sound going here.
Of course, let's see it.
Okay.
I was pretty much doing the same thing every single day.
Felt like I wasn't moving forward.
It would have just been miserable waking up every day going to that job. And then I found Wise.
In the hot seat, baby.
Cut, restart.
Here we go. All right. The work is very fun.
Instead of feeling like a technician, you almost feel like an artist.
It's brand new, shiny. The customers are always amazed.
It doesn't really feel like you're working sometimes. It feels like you're doing this project.
One of the most frequent calls I'll get from customers is how happy everybody seems to be with their job.
They really incentivize you to just put your all in and try to learn this trade.
The fact that you can start as a technician and go all the way up to owning your own franchise, I think that's something really special.
Wise Coatings is different in the environment and the culture.
Wise Coatings is a real community and a family vibe.
It definitely feels like a family. Everyone is very close together.
I can truly tell that my bosses care.
Everyone on our team, we want them to always be looking for ways that they can level up, how they can ascend, both personally and professionally in their jobs.
I am wise. I am wise.
I am wise.
I am wise.
I am wise.
I am Wise.
I am Wise.
I am Wise.
We are Wise, and we're building Wise Coatings to be different. You want to be Wise with us? Fill out the application down below and schedule your good fit call.
All right. So, by the way, the audio come through okay, Ryan? You able to
Yeah,
hear
it
that
was
all right?
great. Yes. Yep.
So the way we recorded that was we literally just got our technicians in an office or in our shop. We turned off all the lights, put on some dramatic lighting, and we just interviewed them. What'd you hate most about your last job? Why did you come here? What makes it different? And there's something psychologically very advantageous when they are talking to their future, they're listening to their future coworkers and being able to hear that. And if they resound with themselves, that's going to be able to attract them in. Your captivate stage, you know that you're doing it right when not only do you have compelling messaging that is captivating people's attention, you're captivating the right person's attention, people that fit with you culturally, what you're looking for. If you have behaviors of salespeople that are competitive and sports driven and always want to win, like your ads need to talk about that. Your videos need to talk about that. You need to show the sales guy that's driving around in his sick car and he's telling a story. Like interview the people that you have, get a good video, because it does need to be a marketing and sales motion to captivate people's attention and draw them in, because there's so much chatter out there. How are you going to stand out, and why would someone want to work for you? Okay, next step, activate. This is something that gets overlooked a lot. When we bring in a new employee, how do we set them up for success? If you find yourself pointing at your employees saying they don't work hard, they're not following the systems, why are they not doing their job? You ever heard that expression? You point at someone, you got three fingers pointing back at you. That's the case. If you are not implementing really good training programs, do you have written job descriptions? We call them role blueprints for every single position inside your company, what their KPIs, their responsibilities, their daily tasks, their weekly tasks, who they report to, what success looks like. And this is what we have built out for every single position inside of a home service business. So for those of you that would like to get a copy of these, we give these out for free. We have one for roofing industry, HVAC, painting, literally any industry. If you want, you can scan this QR code. I'll also drop it into chat here if people would like to go check this out. But this will give you the opportunity to go in and, no strings attached, download a list of every single role blueprint for your service business, for like a $20 million company, rehash specialists, operations managers, project managers, install coordinators, whatever roles you're looking for. These types of roles are so critical to be able to start kind of like driving success inside of this. And Ryan, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your guys' tools that you offer for this as well, which is super strong.
Yeah, I do. Before I talk about this, I just wanted to comment on, I love the Captivate section. And I think that even just creating a video, it can sound overwhelming, but your messaging, speaking right to that ideal person, like speaking to them in your ad copy. I love that. Hey, this is for you and describe kind of who they are and what they're dealing with and what their stage of life is, what their aspirations are, what their character traits are. Less about how awesome your company is and more about who you're looking for. And I think when people read that or they see a video, they're like, man, I feel like they're talking right to me. When people start to say that in their recruiting process and when you're interviewing them, that's how you know it's starting to work, right? And right. I think that the video is really well done. I mean, you could just find a videographer local, then and try it out and just ask, hey, before working here, what was it like? And you're going to hear people say, man, I just didn't have any direction, or I was working this corporate job, or I was a bartender and I was making good money, but I have a kid now and I want to be home at night and stuff like that. And when you hear these people sharing, it's so powerful. I really enjoy recruiting. It's one of my favorite things to do. But as we're activating people into the world that they're coming into, like you need some sort of systems. So on the right here, we have our Contractor's Guide to Baseline Selling. That's the sales process and methodology that we train at STG. It's very basic and it's actually really robust, but it's basic to understand, and that you have milestones around the base paths to help you navigate where you are and helping the customer make a decision and prospects buy, whether it's you're a commercial company or you're selling in the home. On the left is the CEO's Guide to Data-Driven Sales Pipeline Analysis. So as you grow and you want to build a sales team, if you are a CEO, you're likely going to be running that sales team for a bit. You may not be quite ready to hire a sales manager or promote somebody who doesn't have experience, and you're going to need a better process. So we definitely want to equip you with some of these resources. So feel free to download those. I'll drop those in the chat as well. But anyway, back to you, Brandon.
That's awesome, man. I literally scanned it right now and I'm going through it. So it's really, really good. Love you. Thank you for, I love that you shared that. So, all right, let's talk about activating in people. So one of the biggest things in talking to a lot of business owners that I see that is getting missed is really robust training processes. This is a little montage of videos that we have for Wise Coatings. We made these within the first couple months that we opened up our business. Again, whether it's bringing in a videographer or just going into Loom and hitting record and recording how you book a job, how you dispatch a job, how you do your sales process. We hired this local actress to, show like based on their facial expressions and their body language, what disc profile are they and how should we be talking to them? And, it's just so, it's so it's so powerful when you do these types of teachings, because when you do it once, you now don't have to repeat that content and information ever again yourself personally, because those things live as evergreen, and you can slowly start building out your LMS, your learning management system, where you have these videos, you have all this information. And, you don't have to necessarily make it all on your own either. You can go into LinkedIn Learning, you can go to YouTube, and you can get a tremendous amount of content and videos that are hosted online from other people that you can pull into your own curriculum as their playlist to get started, to learn it. You can use things simple like, Google Forms to be able to have some quizzes and checklists. And we built out ours literally in Google Classroom in our workspace. And it's free. We didn't have to go out and buy expensive training software, and it accomplishes a lot of what we need. And you don't have to, even if you just have a folder full of videos that you just have someone watch, something is better than nothing. And you can always be improving this and kind of building this out over time. And the last reason why I kind of put this Financial Peace University, don't just think about professional training, personal training. And one thing that we did is we have all of our employees go through Financial Peace University. We pay for it. We teach them how to build a family household budget, how to build a debt snowball. We teach them how to be able to save up for a house. When they sense that you care about them on a personal level and you want to ascend, make them better as a person, the goodwill that creates, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in Elevate, is really kind of unmatched. So, if you're going to bring someone onto the team, how you activate them, what their first day looks like, what their first week looks like. I call it that 8 a.m. moment, when at 8 a.m. they come in and they're sitting there fresh, first job ever. You know that their wife or their parents are going to ask them at the end of the day, hey, how was your first day? Man, you better blow their socks off. Like you got to really, really deliver that experience where they're like, I made the right decision. Have you ever been ghosted before, where someone all of a sudden just doesn't show up 2-3 days in? Is that an activation issue? Potentially. It's something to kind of work towards. Anything on that, Ryan, before I move into Elevate? You're muted, buddy.
Thank you. I love that. I think with groups like us, we have some sales training content that's very, very powerful and specific to the industry and proven. But, like you said, you're not the original source of some of these things. These are tried and true methods. That's what we teach, tried and true methods. We just deliver it in a particular way to a particular group of people. If you guys can do the same thing, you can go on and find resources that you like, that strike a chord with you, that you've demonstrated in your working life. And then things like Financial Peace University. I mean, to me, that's a reflection of that, Brandon, that you've gone through that and it's helped you. So you're paying it forward because, it'll help increase the value of the life around you and the people with you. So I think this is great. You see that with fitness or lifestyle or, all that, taking care of your family, marital counseling, managing relationships. Those really, you can create a place where people's lives can be transformed in your business. And that's where you're starting to fulfill a deeper calling as an owner that I think I think many people don't realize they can actually do. And when they
That's
start
right.
to pull all that together, like, whoa, I'm now um, kind of a manager and a designer of an environment where people can grow rather than just a place to work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And and elevating them to that next level. When you ask someone, "Hey, why do you want to work here?" or "What matters most to you?" Most of the time, people actually don't mention it as being money. When they've done studies of hundreds of thousands of employees, money is not the thing where they're like, "That's what matters most to me." One of the acronyms that gets used most often to kind of describe what actually matters most is AIR. Are you giving your employees AIR? Appreciation, inspiration, and recognition. That actually matters most. People want to feel appreciated. They want to be recognized for the work they do. They want to feel inspired, that the work they do matters, that they're making an impact in their world to the people that matter to them. And if you can't draw the personal connection between the work that you're doing and how it directly benefits people that they care about, including themselves, you're going to always have this disconnect of I just clock in and I clock out and this doesn't matter. But having that level of engagement, having a feeling of belonging, having a positive environment, um, benefits. It's funny that oftentimes will appear higher than even money in a lot of studies that they've done. And it's not necessarily as expensive as you might think to offer things like health, dental, vision, 401k, having fringe benefits. There's a fantastic book that I want to recommend. It's called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. And it is specifically talking about how can we connect our employees' dreams and their bigger aspirations they have for life with the work that they do inside of our company. We want them to say, "Hey, this is the best company I've ever worked for," not because of the thing that they're doing, but because they feel cared about by you as an owner, by your team, and the work that they're doing actually matters. I'm just going to throw this list up here so you can kind of, scan through this. There's so many different ways that we can create air for our employees. Strong brand, clean vehicles, well-stocked vehicles, company parties, clear path for growth, goal setting, even something as simple as sending a message in Slack to your employees one on one. "Hey, you know what, John? You did an absolutely amazing job taking care of our customer yesterday. I'm so grateful for you. We're happy to have you on the team. You really exemplify our core values." Talking about your core values all the time, getting people to buy into that culture. It is so powerful so that people can feel like they are actually making a difference when they work for you. Dream Manager, Nick, Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly, The Dream Manager. Awesome, incredible book. Okay, as we elevate them, inevitably, this is going to turn them into advocates. The way that it is working is when your employees tell other people about how much they love their job, how much they love the company that they work for. And if you're doing these things properly and you're setting them up for success, they won't be able to contain it. They will talk to other people about it. You want to get their spouses involved so their spouses become advocates. And if you think about all the people who would potentially qualify for one of your roles in your company, whether it's sales, techs, installers, office team, CSR, rehash agents, managers, directors, C-level people, if you're going to find someone that actually qualifies, there's typically like a few different buckets that they come from. One is going to be probably the most obvious, which is lookers. People are looking for a job. They're going on to Indeed and they are wanting to apply for a job. If you open up your hiring ads, you're going to get a sliver of people that are actively looking just inside of that window of time. You're also going to get a bunch of losers, people that are serial job hoppers. They're on unemployment. They're just still throwing out applications. They're taking interviews. They're wasting your time. You can actually apply to 50 different jobs in 30 minutes on just LinkedIn alone. There's AI tools now for candidates that allow you to apply to hundreds of jobs in 10 minutes. So it's really getting crazier to like sift out all the garbage that you get when you do post jobs. I'll share some strategies on how you can combat that. You're going to get people that never will apply for a job because they love their job so much they're there for life. But you're also going to get there's a lot of people that you will never talk to unless you're proactively engaging with them through some manner of interruption. And we call these the leaners. They're comfortable in their job. They're not actively looking right now, but if a right opportunity popped up in front of them, they would go chase after it and they would want to engage. But they're loyal to their current company. They're reasonably comfortable. They're not serial job hoppers. They stay put. They understand, the duty and the obligation. But we want to get in front of these ones. And the way that we can get in front of these ones is a few different ways. Number one is you give your employees the gift, as I call it. I tell all of my employees, one of the greatest gifts that I have as a business owner and entrepreneur is I get to pick my coworkers. That's pretty incredible. It's one that I, every once in a while, just take a step back and be like, dang, that's so cool. I get to pick exactly who my coworkers are. I want to give you this same gift too. I want you to pick your coworkers. Who are the rock stars that you would love to have here that would benefit everybody in the company? They're bought in our vision. They're bought in on what we're doing. I want you to go find them and I'll pay you to go find them. I'm going to give you referral bonuses, bounties. And so we print out cards for all of our businesses that just say, you're awesome. Let's talk, referred by. And we give stacks of these to our employees. And when they're at the gas station, they're at Home Depot, they're at a supply shop, they're talking to someone, in a restaurant, and there's an amazing server that comes up and just gives unbelievable service. We are going to talk to them and we're going to say, hey, you know what? I think you're awesome. Just seeing how you interact, your level of attention. I think you would actually be really successful in our company. And, maybe it's nothing you're interested in or you're looking for right now, but I just want to give you my card. You should give us a call sometime so we can see what our operation is like. And we'll pay out $500 to $5,000, depending on what the positions are. If they come in, if they get hired, they stay with us for, 3 to 6 months. So our employees are also doing some pre-qualification, but we get a tremendous amount of employee referrals because we focused on these 4 steps and these 4 motions. Another really strong way is through interruption marketing like Facebook ads. So for Wise Coatings, we don't just go on Indeeds and postings, even though that's a big part of it, job boards, but we want to find the people that aren't searching on there, but they are in that leaners group. And you have to put a spend behind it. You have to, check out your ads, but we can get very good cost per application through these types of channels. And we do this kind of work 365 days a year, which brings me to my most important point of this entire session, which is you should always be recruiting. Mark Zuckerberg right now, his full-time focus is in personally finding and recruiting and getting team members for his team. And that's what he's spending 100% of his time. And when you hear from a lot of successful CEOs, they'll say the same thing. My goal, my job is to find the best people and bring them in. And you can't just wait for when you need somebody, because it's going to force you to make a bad decision on hiring someone when you're in a place of desperation. And then it's like, you got a pulse, good enough, get in there. So what we do with Wise Coatings is we never turn our hiring funnels off. We're hiring 365 days a year. And this means we're interviewing 365 days a year, even when we're full. And what this looks like is when we are full and those interviews come in and we see someone in our platform that's been identified as a very high potential fit, we may get on a call with them, we'll interview them, and we'll say, hey, we think that you would be an amazing fit here at Wise Coatings. We're anticipating an opening coming up here very, very soon. I want to put you on our waiting list because you could be very successful here. I think you're going to be a great fit. I think you'd very much enjoy it. We have a good career opportunity here. And we really want you to, be notified as soon as we have that opening so that you can come in and get this going. And we have a lot of people that say yes. We have 280 technicians on a waiting list right now for technicians across the country. And here's the cool thing. As we see those interviews come in and we're taking a look and we say, okay, we got a Joe that's here that scored an 8 for lead technician. And I look at his resume, I see his resume analysis in our platform. I see his application questions. I read his interview transcript. I look at his behavioral scores and see what his proactivity and his order and his dominance and his aggression and his military leadership, all these 21 different behavioral profiles. And I see his right seat score, which is what we have in our platform. And then I'm looking over at Michael in our team that's been showing up late. His sales numbers are low. He's not following along. I'm going to take an interview and I'm going to try to get that person in. And guys and gals, you can fire people. It's okay. We should be swapping out the bottom of our totem pole individuals, the ones at the bottom of our leaderboards, with better quality people instead of waiting for people to quit and then backfilling in individuals. And when you don't have that power dynamic control of understanding that you control your pipeline, it inverses that power dynamic where people are like, oh, what are you going to do? Fire me? When they know that all these people are coming in and there's a waiting list for their position, psychologically, that changes things.
Yep.
And then you have a bigger window of talking to people as opposed to that 2-week time. So if you genuinely don't have an opening, about 4 months from now, you want another salesperson, you want another truck on the road, you need another lead technician. Now you can go to your waiting list and you can pick and you can choose. And whenever we have an opening, we send out a big text blast, an email blast, and phone call blast, and we can secure people very, very fast compared to the old school way, the reactive way of when someone quits, then I post job ads, which never results in a good result at that point in time.
I want to just jump in and just add some affirming content or commentary because I just love what you're saying here, and it's what we're talking about is sales and marketing, and like if we have a backlog that's being chewed up, right? You're more liable to take a job that's maybe less margin to keep the crews busy. And so, but when your marketing is working, your sales pipeline's juicy and full, you have more the ability to leverage and create value and sell the better value. It's the same type of thing when you're bringing on your talent. And I love how you were describing, like Indeed and LinkedIn's great, but people are in that mode of looking, and maybe you catch their attention, but they're already on the platform. What I love about the idea of Facebook and using meta ads is those image ads are more disruptive and stop people who are maybe in an age bracket, who have a certain type of interests, and you're able to stop them in their tracks. And that, maybe they're in this transitionary phase because a lot of home services, if we've done this right, they'll begin and then they'll be able to earn their way and ascend. But we're not always like hiring for really highly paid, like mature career positions, right? We're talking about opportunities so they can earn and with merit build their way up into an organization. So many of those people that could be diamonds in the roughs aren't actually, those rock stars aren't actually even like employed at a full career yet. They could be, in this transitionary period, they're just looking for that first home, that first place to call home. And now they're ready to get after it. And so I think that there's so much there that I love. And, when you're keeping the pipeline full, and the other thing is I think of like in sports, like I was a professional short term, by the way, I didn't play forever, but short term professional baseball player or college baseball player, they're always recruiting and they're always about to draft new people. So you're always on the hot seat. If you're not performing, your job's not safe. You have to be performing. Even if you're performing, it's not even safe. And then if you are, you're trade leverage, maybe to go somewhere else. You're not guaranteed a spot. So I think that, when you have a constant flow of recruits, it serves such a great purpose for you guys in your organization to keep performance high, to keep morale high, to keep people engaged and not too comfortable and still wanting to be a better version of themselves professionally and personally, and to be a part of what you're doing.
Yeah. I like the sports analogy too. One of the things that I can't remember who said it, but it was a CEO that I admired. Where he said, a lot of people say, "Oh, we're a family," but that's not really true. I mean, you don't fire your sister or your brother. Like, you're stuck with them, and that's just the people that you use. We're really more like a sports team that's wanting to win the Super Bowl. And when you go to a championship sports team, everyone in the company knows like their goal is to win a Super Bowl, and that's what they're here to do. And they want everybody else on the team, no matter what the role is, what the position is, to be on that same page that we're here to win a Super Bowl. And that competitive team environment of performance is where you see the best companies thrive, because they don't just accept the fact that, well, this person's been with me for years. I'm just going to excuse the cancer, the sideways comments, the fact that he's late. He's not following the systems and processes. He's not clicking record every time he goes out to his sales calls. He's not bringing any cold calls. I'm not going to accept that anymore. I am going to actually get things done. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it was the Netflix CEO. It's a team. It's that competitive environment. Now, this can be really, really difficult to do, to always be hiring. Quick plug for HireBus. This is what we do. This is literally what our platform does. We write the job ads, we create the careers page, all the applications. We split test them when we post them to find out what actually works best. We post them. We do all the outreach as well. So we'll do proactive outreach. We capture thousands of applicants. We text them, we email them, we call them. We have an AI tool called Val. She's our in-house AI recruiter that reads and analyzes the resume, looks for gaps, looks online for any false information, writes seat behavioral assessment as well, that we give every candidate, that returns back 21 different behavioral profiles. And then we also do the first round of interviews. So, instead of having someone on your team who is a more highly leveraged individual, we take care of that as well. And then we just tee up the final interviews for the top scorers. And we do that 365 days a year. We never turn those off. All you do is tell us, do I want candidates to go directly to my calendar for final selection? Do I want to be in proactive mode or reactive mode? Do I need to hire someone right now? And as you see those candidates come through, you'd be amazed at when you start realizing like, wow, this person that just came through is a rock star. I never would have found someone like this. And I have someone on my team that I really could probably replace. I've been struggling with, but now it's not some big to do to replace that individual. So all the texts, all the emails, the resume analysis highlighting their strengths, areas for improvement, red flags, the behavioral score. We have this really unique thing called the River with their behavioral blueprint. And we have benchmarks for an outside salesperson, inside sale, every position inside the company, so that we can find out what are those behaviors, and are they, from a behavioral standpoint, as well as experience and skills, aligned well for these types of roles. We tee up the interview questions for you based upon what maybe some of those gaps might be. And the goal is to build this engine, one that can come in an autopilot and keep running. And the reality is that if you can't control your team and lead them properly and bring the right performers on your team, there's a lot at stake. When you told your spouse that, hey, we're going to do this because this is what it's going to give us: time freedom. We're going to have a big exit, financial freedom, spend more time at home with the kids, not work nights and weekends, not be grinding so much, being able to have that legacy, or even fulfill your employees' dreams with what they want to accomplish. When they decide to join your team, they have a vision, they have a dream that they want to get accomplished. And your ability to be able to provide that, if you have really great salespeople and you can't get a good delivery system of your service, those salespeople are going to leave as well. So there's a lot at stake. And this is the thing that we actually thrive on, helping business owners find out. So if you'd like to kind of jump in and do a demo of the platform, I'll go ahead and throw this up here, and then we can open up for Q&A or pass it back to you, Ryan. This is the link where you can schedule a demo. One of the things that we do is we do something called a hiring audit, where we take a look at who are the people on your team right now? How many people are you looking to bring on in the next 12 months? Where are your low performers, your high performers? What's your average tickets? What's your closing rates? And then that helps us identify a good plan for you and a regular budget that you should set aside to be able to have that pipeline that runs 365 days a year. And it's not as expensive as you might think, especially when you look at the cost of hiring a bad person can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Having a bad salesperson, someone who can sell, $3 million a year versus $500,000 a year, like can almost come down to just the right person. Obviously the right process as well, which is critical, but having someone that really has that high proactivity, that high aggression, high creativity, high criticality, low self-control, those are kind of the benchmarks for those really strong salespeople. Getting those ones teed up to be able to be a rock star in your business can literally make a 7-figure swing difference for you in your business. So go ahead and grab that link there below, or you can get your phone out and scan this link on here, and it'll take it directly to my calendar. Our calendar will hop on a call with you and dive a little bit deeper.
Awesome, man. Amazing content. Love to open up for some Q&A for those of you who still are here. I know we had a bit of a change on the link and the start time, so hopefully you guys are catching the recording as well, because we're going to get this out. But we have some folks here. If you guys would like to, you can unmute, or you can put in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll happily allow you to ask a question.
I'd love to know, Ryan, for you, when you're looking to bring on salespeople, and when you coach individuals, bringing salespeople on specifically, what are some of the biggest questions that you kind of get asked from some of the business owners you work with, and just understanding how they can maximize their sales teams? What are some of the pieces of advice that you give them on like lowest hanging fruit that just makes a big difference in both finding those people and setting them up for success?
Yeah, I think some of the things we love to share is, ask those that you love on your team to refer anybody your way. That's the first step.
Yep.
If there's some rock stars there that want to make the team better, and there's a lot. I love that, because they're saying to the friend that they know, like, hey, this is working for me, it'll work for you, and now they're both in it together. So I love that. The other thing that I'm a big fan of, and I love the way you made that video, just like kind of more before and after, what it's like. It's very nice, cinematic, and things like that. I'm also a big fan of just creating your own Google slide deck with your face in there, and having almost like a VSL type structure where you're calling out, hey, this is for you and describe where they're at, describe their character traits, describe the case studies of successful salespeople who've come in and who are now earning a certain amount and producing a certain amount, and how their lives are not the same anymore because of the sales career opportunity. So I think that I want to share with them that there's a lot of salespeople that don't even know they're salespeople yet, that can find that out at home, at your place, at your workplace of work. And because of your confidence in training and your use of technology and your vision and your environment that you've helped create, you're certain that the right type of person can come in, and if they're accountable and they're being trained and coached, that they will succeed. But you just need that right type of person. And so knowing your core values, knowing the vision of the company, sharing a track record of your growth, like there's a lot of parts to the message, but I'm a big fan of, you could get that put together, you could sell people on working for you before you're having to sell them. I think that we want to flip that. And I think that when people are trying to get people to show up to an interview and get people to take an assessment, and then they're trying to get people to, they're trying to pitch and persuade them. And it's so much better when they're already coming in hoping that they can be a part of your team, because they feel so convinced, and it's a compelling message that you've sent. And that messaging it's basically really good marketing, VSL type stuff in video or PowerPoint form. And that's what we teach. We do have a screening assessment for sales competencies. We partner with a company called Objective Management Group. And so We have 21 core selling competencies, and we're able to pre-configure the role depending on the sales role itself, whether it's like B2B, C-suite down to selling in the home, ticket size, are they self-gen, are they closely managed, are they independent, all these different variables, and then they take that and we're able to put out a score. It's definitely not one that fits all roles. It's a salesperson specific assessment. We like that because I think things like the disc can be a bit subjective.
Mhm.
It's not as specific to selling competency. You're having to be like, well, they're aggressive, which means they'll be good at sales.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's not true per se because there are introverts that are great at sales. They're not as aggressive. But we measure things like hunting competency, relationship building competency, consultative selling competency, need for approval, their ability to discuss money, their comfort discussing money, their desire and their commitment. So we measure different competencies that are sales specific. But I think that if you have an organic, static place where people can find you on your website, excuse me, and then within your recruiting funnel, have a video that speaks to what their future looks like or their current state or both, and your track record and what it could look. I mean, that's the thing that I think is you could build it once and it can last you 2 to 3 years. Um, and it makes the top of the funnel more engaged.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I want to try that out. You'll have to send me a link to that. That sounds awesome. I'd love to see that. That
For sure.
behavioral assessment. That sounds really cool. Fantastic.
Yeah. That's great. Well, for you guys, share this webinar recording with your friends if you found it valuable, and give HireBus a call. These guys know what they're doing. They have, I've heard a lot of amazing things from contractors about what their platform is doing for them and building their team and that people engine. Everything he's saying, I believe in. Like I've been teaching different types of things on team building and building, helping organizations grow, specifically on the sales side. But of course, I care about the entire business and what they're solving for and how they're doing it. You guys gotta take a serious look. I think they're doing it in a way that's affordable and provides a fast time to value and ROI. So, yeah, thank you guys. And Brandon, thank you for taking the time to do this, and hope we can do it again.
My pleasure, Ryan. I had an awesome time, and thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
All right, see you.
See ya.